Hello friends, this is a bit of an unusual video for me. I'm going to review this watch, which I've had for a couple of months now. I wasn't able to find almost any information about it or similar watches online, so I thought I'd just make a video to go over it and give my impressions. And sorry, the photography is going to be a little inept here. I don't have a great setup to take videos of watches, but I hope this works. So this is a Citizen AS1060-54L, which is a name I forget just as soon as I say it. I literally have to look at it right now to remember what the name is. There isn't any sort of model designation besides that. So the basic information, this is an Eco Drive, which is Citizen's name for their solar watches. So it's quartz powered by solar energy. So as long as you give it enough sun, you don't need to recharge a battery or anything like that or replace a battery. So by the stats, it's, let's see, the case size, which I think is the size from side to side, not counting the crown, is listed at 37.2 millimeters. It is 8.4 millimeters thick, and it weighs 93 grams, I guess, with the full bracelets. It's made of stainless steel. It's has a sapphire crystal. And as you can see, it's got a date wheel as well, right? Date window as well. So this is part of a big range of watches, which I think are maybe all exclusive to the Japanese market, or at least a part of it. This range of watches, yeah, has these stainless steel cases like so, sapphire crystal, and they vary quite a lot in coloring and styling. Like a lot of them have white faces, a lot of them have black faces. Some of them have gold highlights and things like that. A lot of them have a stainless steel band, but some of them have leather. And part of the range, which this one is, has radio control or radio functionality. Some of them don't. The ones without are a little cheaper, and they generally tend to not have date windows either. So it's just a three-hand solar-powered watch. Some of them have Roman numerals like this. Some of them don't have, they just have hour indices, just markers. Some of them have Arabic numerals. So this is kind of a big range of watches. And this one is priced at 44,000 yen, but the actual retail price that you seem to be able to get for it is around 30,000 yen. So I would say, figure this to be a roughly 200, 300 US dollar watch, somewhere in that price range. And the big reason why this one, I got this one and why it sits at roughly $200, $300 is the radio functionality. So if you're not familiar with that, there are radio stations in Japan and other parts of the world which continually broadcast at time. So if you have a watch, or sometimes they're like wall clocks that also can receive these radio signals. And what it can do then is correct itself, since the correct time is constantly being broadcast and that time is being synchronized to atomic clocks. It means that there is always an accurate time that you can read. So this watch has that functionality. So Citizen makes other watches with this one, with this functionality, but it's very important to note that for this watch and for some other watches in Citizen's range, it only works in Japan. So I'll explain that a little more later, but so you can check the result of the most recent attempt to connect to the radio towers by pressing the button here at 4 o'clock. So if I press that now, you can see the second arrow move to 1 o'clock. There's a H logo there. That means it got a high quality signal the last time it tried to connect. There's also a M at 2 o'clock, meaning it was a medium quality signal or a medium strength, and L for low quality strength. And then at 11 o'clock, there's a marker for when it was not able to connect to the radio towers. And you can also, or I should say that it does this automatically every day at 2 a.m. But you can force this if you want by pressing the 4 o'clock pusher button and holding it for 2 seconds. And then you can see the second needle goes up to 12 o'clock. That means it's trying to listen in. And apparently this takes several minutes, so it's nice that it just does this at 2 a.m., so you don't have to worry about it. Apparently the antenna, like a lot of other, and I'll turn that off by pressing the pusher for 2 seconds. Apparently the antenna is on the 9 o'clock side of the watch right here, and I generally find that the way you orient the watch is really important. So you want to, I always have to point it kind of east, somewhat northeast. There are two radio towers in Japan. This seems to be the closer one that I'm able to receive. It might just be geography. So here in Nagano, the one in Fukushima, I think is the one that I can receive more easily. So as long as I point the watch in the correct direction, when I put it down for the night, it always connects to the tower, and so it's always picking up the correct time, and I never have to correct it. It's always exactly on time. So that's the strength of a radio watch, and why you pay a little more for these than for the lower end of this range, which just has 3 hands. So I guess as far as what I like about the watch, maybe I'll get into that first. I really like the blue coloring on this watch. It's a dark blue, but it doesn't look it's not too ostentatious or anything. It looks kind of black in some conditions, and if you take it out in the sunlight, it has a sort of a brighter blue. The interior, the sort of recessed part of the dial, which I think is probably where the solar panel is. It has this kind of nice sunburst pattern to it and different lighting. And, the outside of the dial is quite legible. It's very easy to tell what time it is. It's generally just sort of a simple, effective watch. And I do like how the face of the watch looks a lot. And yeah, as I mentioned, the radio timing is just, it's really, really nice. Having before this, I had a mechanical watch, which I liked. But I eventually sold it just because I was finding recently it was either running too fast or too slow. It was sort of fussy. I'd have to check it every couple of days, and I just got a bit tired of it. And nice though it was, and cool though mechanical watches are, I really wanted a watch that was just, bang on accurate all the time, and this definitely is. And those are, I suppose, things I like about it. Also, it's quite light. It sits very light on your wrist. Yeah, even 93 grams, that's before you take out any bracelet links if you're sizing it down. It means it's very light, and when it's on your wrist, you kind of forget it's there. It's just, it's a very subtle presence, I guess. And also the band comes with this adjustment tool. I think these links are not very thick. I don't know enough about watch bands to tell you exactly what kind they are. But it comes with this tool, which is basically it's almost a needle. You could probably do this with a paper clip even, that lets you push out these little pins inside the links and resize it to your liking. So yeah, if you get this new, you can size it yourself very easily. You don't have to take it into a shop or have any kind of specialized equipment or anything like that. So it's very easy to wear. It's light. It's just low maintenance is what it is. As long as you give it enough sun and point it the right way when you put it down for the night, it's just always going to be right on time. And that's certainly worth something. So then I'll get into my dislikes next. And there isn't anything that drives me crazy about this watch, but I guess I have a combination of things that I wish was different about it. Maybe the first thing I can think right now is I wish this date window was color matched. It's kind of a little jarring that it's white instead of blue. I think, yeah, blue date wheel with maybe white text or silver text would be, maybe a little harder to see, but would kind of keep the styling of the dial a little more consistent. And the band, though it's easy to change, I wouldn't call it cheap, but it doesn't feel great. The links are kind of spaced a little so that you kind of see some space between them on your wrist when you're wearing it. And yeah, it's not bad, but it's not wonderful. It definitely doesn't feel like a higher budget watch would. And I guess the biggest thing, the reason I'm actually probably going to sell this watch is that, I got it. I had a larger mechanical watch before this. And while I can't fault the watch for its styling, it's very subtle. It doesn't feel very special, I guess. I kind of missed my mechanical watch having that larger presence on my wrist. I think that this watch becomes very discreet. Like I think you could wear it, every day, or it could be you could wear it in a more formal occasion without it being strange or anything like that. But I just didn't have a lot of fun with it. When I worked in schools, I worked in schools for 9 or 10 years. This would have been the perfect watch just because it didn't call much attention to itself. It was always right on time, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's just very solid, very reliable, but it's not going to stand out. Especially when I was working with kids, you didn't want to have a watch that would draw a lot of attention. So while that was nice, I don't work that way anymore. I don't work in schools anymore. So I kind of realized I want to watch that's a little more fun, had a little more visual pizzazz to it, I guess. And I would wear it. It was accurate. It was nice. It was easy to forget I was wearing it, but I just found I didn't really enjoy it very much. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna sell it off now. It's of course it's just completely unscratched, totally flawless. It hasn't lost power or anything like that. I guess if you run down the battery completely and try and revive it later, that might reduce the life of the battery. So it's certainly been very functional, and I do like the dial color, but aside from that, yeah, I just found myself a little not quite too satisfied with it. So I think I'm going to sell it, but I have enjoyed it for what it's worth. So I hope this, if you're looking at this or a similar watch, I hope this gives you some idea what it's like. So I have a couple more watches. Actually, I bought 2 more watches since I bought this one. I'm going to try and do some video reviews of those fairly soon. So I hope I can get those out soon. And thanks. See you next time. Oops, sorry to cut in here. This is just the height of amateurism, and I can't do a clever cut because I'm literally filming a running watch. So, but I had 2 things I forgot to mention in the previous thing I recorded. So one is that this watch only receives broadcasts in Japan, the radio broadcasts. I think it's because it makes the hardware lighter and probably less expensive to receive the radio broadcast if it's only the frequency of the 2 towers in Japan. And I think it's because another reason they can sell this watch easily in overseas market is that Japan only has 1 time zone, and it doesn't observe daylight savings time, or summertime as it's called in other places. So I think that means that it can connect very easily, and it doesn't have to have any method of setting the time zone or the daylight savings setting. So I think this helps them make it cheaper, helps it put this functionality in lower end watches like this. And of course, Citizen will happily sell you radio watches that work in separate time zones, like North America and in Europe, and I think China as well. But I think at least North America and Europe, you probably need something on the watch that can respond to different time zones and change DST. And this watch doesn't have those, and so it can be simpler as a result and probably cheaper. So I think that's why this is limited to the Japanese domestic market only. However, I think I have heard that you can use an app on a smartphone or possibly some kind of device to essentially emulate that radio signal to maybe broadcast on a short range that this watch could then pick up. So if that is something you know how to do or are comfortable learning, then yeah, this watch might be useful for you as long as you don't mind going through those steps. But if not, then yeah, then unfortunately this watch is only really useful in Japan. It is a quartz watch, so it's accurate. It's rated at 15 seconds per month, so it's a standard accurate quartz watch. But I kind of you might want to go for the its sort of lower priced cousins, which should be identical aside from not having the radio broadcast functionality in the date window. So if that does seem interesting to you or worthwhile, then maybe you want to spring for the radio. I don't know. And oh yes, okay. The last thing, the last thing I wanted to talk about was that although it's not surprising at this price point, the face doesn't have any sort of anti-reflective coating. So as you can see, it does catch reflections. It's not illegible, but it's a little bit. If you ever have had a watch that has anti-reflective coating or some kind of clear coating on it, it is quite noticeable that the crystal catches the light quite a bit. I've seen in reviews that on online reviews in Japanese that some people think that the hands are a bit too small and it makes it a little hard to read. I didn't find that myself, but if you're somewhat hard of if your eyesight isn't great, it might be a little hard to see, and in some lighting conditions. And also, there's no lume on the hands, so if it's dark, then you're not going to see what time it is. It's going to have to be lit if you want to see what time it is, which I don't mind. I personally like the appearance of hands without lume, but that's something that depends on what you want to get in a watch. So those are my somewhat disjointed, rambly thoughts on this watch. I hope it's helped somebody make a purchasing decision if they're interested in it. So sorry for all that. Sorry, this is rather unprofessional, but I'll see you next time.